Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. My guest today is Dr. Jack Matlock, Ambassador in Residence here at Troy University. Thank you for joining me here today.
Delighted to be here.
And you are the Ambassador in Residence here at Troy University, an opportunity to share your experience with the students here at Troy University. So tell me, how does it make you feel to be able to share your years as an ambassador and experience with these students?
Oh, I love to do this. And it's really great to keep in touch with the generation of students now. You know, they know so much more than I did when I was a student. It really impresses me.
And your years of experience heavily with the Soviet Union as an ambassador there, and have a lot of experience with Russia, and you get a chance to talk to folks nowadays about Russia. And do you get a lot of folks asking questions about how things with Russia compares to back in the Cold War era?
Yes. People are, you know, they hear a lot about it, and I get a lot of questions, and because, you know, I think our relations with Russia are extremely important. It's not that the U.S. and Russia decides everything in the world. We don't, but the fact is that we're both nuclear powers. That gives us a great responsibility, but also the broader problems in the world that we face, whether it's a nuclear power, whether it's terrorism, whether it's global warming, we're not going to be able to solve them without cooperation from countries like Russia and China and India.
And so when you speak to the students here at Troy University, what are some of the lessons you hope that they can take away from your experience?
Basically, I tried to explain how many people, including many of our educators, misinterpret the Cold War. I think we make a mistake when we say we won the Cold War, because actually we negotiated an end to their benefit as well as ours. Also, people think that the Soviet Union collapsed because of the Cold War. No, it collapsed not because we forced their collapse. It collapsed for internal pressure after the Cold War had ended, and it was something that the United States didn't even want to happen. So the idea that we were victorious and that we brought an end to the Soviet Union and an end to the Cold War by military pressure, it gets it backwards and gives us the impression that, oh, we can use our strength, our military power, to change other countries if we don't like what they're doing. And we get into a lot of trouble when we try that.
And from a perspective, a foreign relations perspective and your experience, how important is it to be able to teach students about the necessity of foreign relations and having ambassadors such as yourself and other individuals working these channels and working between the governments?
Well, obviously, we're better off in a peaceful world than one that threatens our lives. And we live in a world which is not going to be peaceful unless the most powerful countries conduct diplomacy among them. Therefore, our diplomacy is vital for the well-being of our country. It has been in the past, it continues to be. So I think no matter what the students are interested in, and most will probably be more interested in domestic issues, but we need a cadre of people experienced in dealing with others. Business and other things are increasingly worldwide. And by the way, I think what this university is doing overseas in many countries, including China, is very encouraging. I think that's exactly the direction we need to go. And I think we have to make sure that our students get the experience of dealing with people in other cultures.
And of course, you know, especially a student there, maybe majoring in political science or something along those lines, thinking about diplomacy as a career. You know, what would it take for somebody to try to maybe focus their goals towards getting into foreign relations and diplomacy?
Well, you know, there are several types of jobs. We have a foreign service, professional diplomacy. One gets in there by examination. First a written examination and then a very competitive sort of oral one. I would say that those students who are interested in the foreign service start taking the Foreign Service examination. Doesn't matter if you fail at first. I had colleagues that had successful careers that tried 3 times before they got in. The main thing is you can start learning. Now basically that exam it expects you to know a lot about the United States. Also it helps to have an interest in the knowledge, at least of the geography of the rest of the world, and at least one more language. Though even that is not an absolute requirement, because once you're in the Foreign Service, you will get training in those languages that you need. But obviously to get a head start on those is very important.
Of course. Well, here's hoping that students here will be able to glean some knowledge from you, and maybe those that have goals towards that direction will be able to do that. Now, I want to thank you for joining me here today on Trojan Talk.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.